Welcome back to Capitol Review. President Donald Trump has been in office less than 30 days, and he has been very active since day one. A big focus so far in his second term in office, keeping his campaign promises, including shrinking government here at home and bringing peace overseas. And joining us now is Colin Reed. He is with South and Hill, a Republican strategist. Colin, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Hey, Mark, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. Colin, obviously President Trump moving forward aggressively with some of his campaign promises. A big promise that he made to the American people was to shrink the size of government. Well, just this week, a judge gave the Trump administration the thumbs up to move forward with those buyouts for federal employees. Your reaction?
Well, look, for the first time in a long time, we're having an overdue discussion about the size, scope, and efficiency of government. And I think most people, left, right, and center, would agree and understand inherently that there's inefficiencies and there's waste in government. Yet political leaders on both sides of the aisle, and there's plenty of blame to go around, and we can have that discussion, although I don't know what it really adds right now, have contributed to this mess. And we got to get serious about it. The federal government operates in a way that families don't, and that small businesses don't, and that anyone else does, and that they spend more than they take in. A lot more. And we're $36 trillion in the hole. Right now, this administration is getting tough on spending, and it's going to have some turbulence along the way, but it's a discussion that's long overdue and one that we really need to have if we want to be an economic leader in the years ahead.
Colin, what else do you think President Trump is doing well here at home? He made a lot of campaign promises, and he's very aggressive in trying to keep them these days.
He is, and I think the discussion we're having around energy, that was one of the big conversation points from the previous administration when inflation hit 9% in the summer of 2022. A big part of that was energy, because when energy is expensive, everything else is expensive. We're having a big conversation right now about eggs and the price of eggs and how hard they are to get in the stores. And there's external factors that are going on right now with the flu and all that. But the simple factor is, when energy is expensive, everything involves energy, how things get to the stores, how things are made, and that price just trickles down. So President Trump, one of his core promises, one of the many he made, was to get serious about domestic energy production again, and that's one I expect him to keep a big focus on.
Colin, let's head overseas. President Trump putting his fingerprints on the war between Russia and Ukraine. Your thoughts on where things stand? He's having conversations with both Putin and Zelensky. Doesn't that where it start? It starts with conversations.
That's right. Everything starts with a conversation. And look, wherever one falls on the war between Ukraine and Russia, it cannot go on in perpetuity. And one of the things where I think the previous administration fell short was outlining an end game. This just cannot go on, this constant bloodshed. There has to be an end game here, and at least have a conversation, see where it goes, and make sure both parties are at the table. Because at some point, it's not just the lives lost, although that's probably the most important part, but everything else that's going on right now, the instability, it cannot end forever. And look, President Trump was really clear when he ran that he said he wanted to end this war and he wanted to end it quickly, and he's trying to do his best to do that. It won't be easy. Again, there's going to be some hiccups along the way, no doubt, but that's part of the business of doing the hard things he said he was going to do.
Colin, there's always been unrest in the Middle East since you and I were born. How effective can President Trump be when it comes to the war between Israel and Hamas?
Well, look, that's one, again, we're such a unique time right now, because President Trump was president for 4 years, and then he had 4 years off, and then he had 4 years back to do everything he can do before his term expires. And during those 4 years, a lot happened. And you mentioned the war between what happened on October 7th, 2023. Again, President Trump came in and promised a very different course of action than his predecessor. And I think that this American strength, this idea that the American military might is back, and this idea that we're not going to be just led from behind or pushed around in the world stage, that's going to trickle down. Everyone knows that. Everyone saw that. And look, this is an unconventional guy, and keeping foreign adversaries on their toes is one way to certainly do business.
Quickly, Colin, you mentioned President Trump. He was the 45th and now the 47th president. The fact that he's been in the White House before, do you think that can make him a more effective leader and a more effective president?
I heard someone call it the greatest mulligan of all time, Mark. It's like the idea that you can just do something over that you hadn't before. And one thing is, second terms usually start off they're just a continuation of the previous 4 years. They don't have this excitement, this energy, this newness about them. It's so unique. We'd have to go back to 1892 in Grover, Cleveland, the last time there was a president who served non-consecutive terms, to understand how he did it. We need a lot of smelling salts to do that. So we're in unprecedented times, and it's exciting times, and there's a lot of change afoot.